Alright.
Yeah.
Right, spot on. So what we're going to do, essentially, you're going to mark your work.
Right.
So we're going to talk about what you've submitted in your Evernote portfolio, look back at the original task, and then you'll go through and you'll actually kind of grade and kind of feedback on your work. So what I want you to do ideally by the end of today, is send me an email with that feedback to yourself.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like an essay, it could literally be 100, 150 words.
Yeah.
You could even have bullet points in there, just outlining this is the feedback I'm giving myself, and this is the grade I reckon I've got. Send that to me on an email, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Cool.
Alright, so if we go back, original task was to kind of use this digital notebook to document your development as a practicing sports coach.
Yeah.
So do you want to just give us a brief overview of what you've got in here and how you think it's kind of evidencing that? And
Yeah. So obviously at the start I was a little bit unsure of which direction to go. There was a lot of, obviously with the amount of stuff that was in there, I didn't know really what was going to work best for me, and it took a long time for me to actually get coaching, because I had to get me first aid and my safeguarding back up to scratch before they'd even let me on a football pitch.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of reviewing. So the first couple were more literature reviews, looking at literature and the effects. So there's a couple of articles. That's obviously my overview of.
That's good, because a lot of people have not done that, you know.
Yeah.
So you've actually read them properly.
So that was just the overview of my placement, and that's the first bit. And
what would you say, so needs analysis wise?
For me,
some of your goals.
Yeah. So for me, it was a little bit more of confidence for different age groups. So for me, I've worked a lot with primary school kids previously, so from the age of 5 to 11. So that's kind of where my comfort zone's been. I've done a bit of disability sport before, but not with football. It was always athletics or multi-sports. So for me, it was a lot of confidence of how to talk, how to interact with a disabled group, and with the under 13s that I'm currently helping to coach at the moment. So that was a little bit of a development with that. So my communication, and one thing that I do struggle, well, that I'm not very good at, is planning. Right. So in terms of my sessions, I get a basic idea. I'm very good at adapting it when it comes to it, but I don't write a load on my plans. It's just, right, I'm going to do this game. If that doesn't work, I'm going to adapt it to this. So it's more bullet points in my planning instead of a lot of diagrams and stuff. So if anyone saw it, I know what's going on. But if I gave it to someone else, they probably wouldn't be able to follow it.
So if we go from that then, how come your next thing is about limiting dropout in sport?
Because there was a few of the other things going up from that as well. There was a few comments that I've heard while coaching. So in terms of, obviously, one of the topics we've done this year has been obviously about how we talk, again from the communication point of view, how what we say and what we do can affect participants. So that's where that one came from. As I heard a few things, like one coach said, you know, how are we expected to win anything if we can't get a proper goalkeeper? And it was like, well, the 7-year-olds, how can we be forcing them into a specific position? And there was one child from one of the teams that stopped going due to comments like that, saying like, you're playing in net, and he didn't want to play in net.
All relevant, but remember, you and your development.
Yeah.
So you started off with your needs analysis, and then you just randomly started talking about dropout in sport.
No, I get that.
Physiological development of young players. Do you see what I mean?
I guess that was more of an awareness of what I've kind of learnt. So most of this came from my module 1.
Right.
So I guess I've not phrased it in the best way. It was supposed to. It was supposed to show that this is what I've kind of learnt from what I've heard and stuff like that.
That's not wrong. Like that's all relevant. But it's saying, all right. So how do you then account for that in your coaching?
Yeah.
So
I get that.
How do you make sure this isn't an issue in your sessions? How have you done that? How might you do it better?
No, I get that.
So those initial links, they're quite kind of random.
Yeah.
like scattergun stuff you just throw in, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then up here it gets a bit more. So what do you start getting into it? Yeah.
So I started doing video analysis of myself, so video reflections. So me talking about sessions that I've done or I've been part of.
So that's the session plan, and then that's your discussion of it.
Yeah.
You're on there. So you've got, how many videos have you done in total?
This video is with
on this one, each one of these from now on is a video. So I'd say
every
about
one of
10.
them's video.
Yeah, I'd say about 10, a good 10, 11.
And the average length will be what?
They range from about 4 minutes to about 9 minutes in length.
So they're fairly build up, isn't it? Over the...
Yeah. Some of them there's only a couple with actual session plans on, because some of them have been either there's a reflection on a tournament that I took a disability team to, and there's also ones where we didn't actually have a session plan because I was the secondary coach,
Right.
where I weren't the lead coach. So that's why there's only a few with actual full-on session plans in it. But yeah, there's reflections of my coaching sessions, and with the disability group we block practice possession, so it's a reflection on how that's progressed. One thing I would say though is one of them's got literature I found in it, but that's one thing I probably should have done a little bit more, was added more academic backup to my reflections.
Would you say then this, if someone looking at this, do they get a good feel for your development over the course of this year?
I would say so, yeah. I would say, especially like you said, from the first couple being quite scattered and not being very precise and how's this developing, to I think my final video where again it's the needs and analysis and stuff like that. I think you can see that what I've done over the year is progressed. I've done more courses to build up my my understanding of how we coach certain. So I've done like equity in coaching, disability coaching, my module 1 for younger age groups and stuff like that.
How could you maybe made it a bit better?
Like I said,
How could you made it clearer? I'm looking at you thinking, right, well, how's this guy developed this year? Why is he better now than he was at the start? What else might you have done? Because the videos are good, don't get me wrong. How else could you have painted that picture a bit more?
Well, I could have obviously done more visual stuff, so obviously like with the things in there, so like spider diagrams and stuff, or
not necessarily, like you could have, it's just different ways of representing info, isn't it? But I'm just looking at that, what's the kind of the commonalities running through it, or so we're going from this stuff,
it's
then
quite,
you
it's
talk
quite
about a warm-up, something on a coach's thing, then you're talking about disability stuff, now you're on about block practice, then it's a session over Easter, the course you've been on. What's it lacking?
Structure. There's not really much structure to it, so obviously it is quite random with what I'm talking about. Apart from like the disability sessions, there's not really anything that leads on to anything else. It is quite random.
I'd agree with that.
Again, I guess that kind of comes with my planning side as well. That's one thing I do need to work on quite a bit, is my planning and my organisation of how the work's going to be set out.
Just that thread, I'm just not getting that sense of a thread, do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like, alright, so he's focusing on this now. Going back to here, really.
Yeah.
Some of these areas do I get a sense of, so you identified you wanted to work on your communication and coaching style with different age groups. Do I get an impression of how that's progressed through this?
I think through the actual videos you might, but without clicking on every single video and watching every single video, I don't think you would, obviously, because each link's quite bare. There's not an overview or anything like that.
So you're aware of it, aren't you? Now, I've no doubt you'll drop onto it at different points, but it maybe just lacks that coherent story running through of, alright, this is a topic, so there's maybe 3 or 4 things linking to your planning to, and then alongside there might be some you're linking into, the qualifications you've done. It's alright saying, well, I've done this course and that course, but how did the course links? But the similarities, differences, does it change your thinking? that's maybe just missing a little bit.
Yeah, no, I fully understand that.
What else do you reckon?
I said that in terms of planning, again, I probably would have liked to have put more session plans in. Again, obviously, I know that's a different way of info, but again, with it being quite blur, without watching the video, you don't actually get to know anything about it.
And maybe would have brought to life some of what you talked about in your videos as well. So if you're kind of saying, as you can see in the session plan on whatever day, and you're talking about that, you can make those links a little bit more clearly. What else do you reckon in terms of maybe how you've approached the task and stuff? What can you take from it to move into next year?
Again, most of it's on an organisational point. In terms of what I took on at the beginning of the year in time management and stuff like that, I took on way too much. Like in terms of that, I was trying to do way too much. I was working about 3 jobs, doing 2 courses, and then trying to fit uni life and stuff like that. It was a nightmare. So my time management, and not, I guess I'm kind of a yes person, so if someone asks me to do something, it's yeah, I'll do it, and then without taking into consideration what's. So I think in terms of my time management and my organisation of work, I think that has progressed again through this year, as I've organised my assignments and when to do my assignments quite well. So it's never really been a mad rush to work. I know in the first year it was like a 2-day, 1 day before, right, I've got to get this assignment in. It's where I've been preparing it weeks, been preparing it a week in advance or like weeks in advance. Primarily being again because obviously they're a lot bigger, but.
I was going to say, what about this stuff? So draw upon academic theory and literature to help you critically analyse your experiences. How well do you reckon you've done that?
In terms of what I've been saying, I've drawn I've brought in theories. I've talked about theories, but I've not backed that up in many of the things with academic, like research or literature. So there is an underpinning of it, and the info I know, like. So I've talked a lot about block practice and like random and linear and non-linear and stuff like that. But in terms of, apart from probably 1 or 2 videos, there's not any proper like literature data.
So you've got the knowledge of it and you kind of know what it is, but you maybe need to evidence that.
Prove it and evidence it.
How would, if we looked at this then? So they're the knowledge analysis, application, construction, and you've got, where would you kind of put yourself for each one based on what we've got in front of us there?
I would probably say, knowledge wise, probably middle 2-1.
Why do you say that?
I think through me, even though it's not evidenced, obviously with the application and like obviously the information, I think I've got a good understanding. I think I show that through the videos and linking in the sessions and how that's relating to the participants and stuff like that. Right. So I think I show a good knowledge and understanding. Maybe, like you said, in terms of the literature, that probably might push that down a little bit. Well, push that considerably down. Again, with the research and evidence and analysis, that's probably without evidencing it that much is probably, I'd say, a low 2-2, maybe an I3.
Alright.
Again, just not evidencing it. I think the evaluation and application is okay. So again, with the principles and stuff, I'd probably say a low 2-1. Because there's quite a bit of discussion, and I'd probably say middle to an I 2-2 on the Well, no, actually, probably a middle 2-2 to a low 2-2. Once again, due to the referencing. But I think I present the work quite well. But like you said, it's not got much structure to it.
Right. If you were averaging all them out, then what grade would you arrive at, do you reckon?
I'd think it'd be between a middle and a high 2-2.
Alright. And you reckon that'd be a fair representation of?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you reckon you could put that in an email, that feedback, and
yeah,
recommend a grade to yourself? I'm not saying that's the grade you'll get,
no,
because obviously this is worth part of engaging this process. It's worth 20% of your matter. But yeah, you reckon you could 100 words, 150 words, bullet point?
Yeah, sure.
Key action points and then a grade?
Yeah, sure.
Alright?
Yeah, brilliant.
Spot on.
Fantastic.
Good man. Do you have any open days coming up?